What's up, everybody? It's Sunday. World Combat Sports in the house. Here to bring you Fight Week and post MGM Grand Wilder-Ortiz post-fight reaction and analytics and my assessment of what's to come based off this heavyweight fight heading into Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. It's a big deal. No matter how you slice it, it's a freaking big deal. So, I want to start off first by saluting all the supporters. It's December 1st, man. We're about to close the curtains on 2019 and head into 2020. There's going to be a lot of big fights in 2020, a lot of changes, and I look forward to it. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the heavyweight, that lightweight division and the welterweight division. What's good, Cairo, Craig, Deion Washington? What's good with y'all? So this episode right here, I'm gonna address some things that's been going on and what I experienced, you know, just because of a little cameo or whatever. And I'm gonna tell you how people attempt to play mind games and put you in a predicament when you actually in the growth process, and that's all you're concerned about. MGM Grand, right? Y'all probably already seen it. MGM Grand, Wilder went in there and made his 10th defense, right? He improved his record of 42-0. 42-0, 41 knockouts. Impressive, commendable. And then you saw the fight camp where, you know, you probably seen myself on Fox with the PB media fight camp, which that's one of the best. I think that was one of the best decisions they could have made for Deontay Wilder, the way they set it up with the media and everything. It was very entertaining. Not because I had the opportunity to be in the fight camp, but I like how the energy was in there, the vibe. You know what I'm saying? You had Ness from the Boxing Voice. You had some other members of the media that was up in there to, you know, interview the champ. It was pretty cool. But this is what's crazy, right? Deontay goes in there and closes out Ruiz-Ortiz again. Now, a lot of you all say, well, he was losing the first half of the fight. Vice saying Deontay was patient and he was picking and choosing when to delegate his ring IQ. Because if you look at the fight closely, he was waiting selectively in order to execute what we all know he has. And he says you have to be good for 12 rounds, but he only has to be good for 1 second or a heartbeat or a pulse. And he proved that again against Ruiz-Ortiz, which the only loss on Ruiz's record was from Deontay previously. So now he has his record from the same boxer. So who's next for Ruiz-Ortiz? That's the question. Because, you know, you have all these Jarrell Millers, Dillian Whites, Derek Chisoras, you know, Povetkians, Pulev. You know, I'm not even going to mention the Tyson Furies because they're not going to fight King Kong Ortiz. All right? So we have Anthony Joshua who's en route, you know, already on deck in Saudi Arabia. He has a bigger task. But no one else out there in the heavyweight division is going to face Ruiz-Ortiz. But this is what I don't like. You have those sneaky, disingenuous people that'll come up to you, right? And I see a trend where they try to group black media all together. And they only do it when the controversy is on the surface, when they have a lot to talk about. It's a lot to go on behind the scenes. But when you're on deck and you have people that you've never seen before, they'll come over and ask you, hey, who are you going for in the main event? And then they'll say something like, well, we happen to see you on Fox, right? So I say, okay. So I see you supported Deontay Wilder a lot. Now, granted, if you check my body of work, several fighters, and I'm not going to go through the cliche, my best friend is white, my next best friend is Asian. I've been all over the world. I've interviewed a lot of fighters of different ethnicities, right? But this was crazy. They'll come up to you and say, oh, I see you covered Deontay Wilder a lot. So you must be with the LDBC, right? And I would say, no, I'm not with the LDBC. You know, World Combat Sports. And they say, oh, I know that, but they seem to cover Deontay a lot. It's a lot of media that covers Deontay a lot, right? Right now, he's one of the bigger names in boxing, period. But what is crazy is when it comes to the black media, they always want to group and associate you with one entity just so they can direct or dictate the narrative all the fucking time. They want to come up here and say, oh, you with so-and-so group just because you support the heavyweight champ. No, I'm with World Combat Sports. That's who I'm with. I have nothing. Like, I see LDBC in passing. They was deep out there at the MGM. I have no issues with anything about them. I barely even know the cat. But you have individuals that'll go around and ask you these questions to see if they can get some dirt on you to prevent you from, I don't know, being in the media presence, in the atmosphere, or whatever the case may be. But it happens, y'all, and they need to stop it. And this goes for the black fans that roll up and ask that question, and it has no merit to what I have going on. I'm up there to cover boxing. Whoever I interview is my action. That's my effort. I go out there and get it in and do what I have to do. But we have one of these situations that's going on where it was a whole lot of controversy about what an LDBC member said. And we have the freedom of speech. You have the freedom of press. Not everybody's going to agree with that shit. But when you sitting up here trying to group certain black media together as if we all correlate together so you can hold us accountable to the same action that's going on is bullshit. Work, and it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work with me. You know, I have no issues with anybody who's out here grinding and basically getting it in and trying to cover the sport of boxing. Now, what they have to say on their agenda is that's them. That's them, period. But don't come over here to Scotty White and try to say, well, you cover one single boxer. One single boxer. That's absolutely absurd, preposterous on every level that you don't see any of the other fighters that I cover. YouTube, whatever. But you know what? If you roll by and you don't like it or you don't pay attention to it, that's your own prerogative, man. But I'm World Combat Sports. I built my shit up from the ground floor. I have to make the phone calls to these individuals. I have to build relationships with these fighters. I have to go out here solo dolo and try to make these arrangements and get in there and interview and do what I have to do and catch the moment. And yes, I'm learning on the job with a lot of areas. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning. I am learning as I go along. But I just wanted to make that a point that I think is very, it's just as bad as you're calling racist. You know, it's deal with racism when a white person or a person outside of black approach you about a situation, but yet you don't bark the same volume when you don't see is black members out here too. And we really should be focused on the objective, and that's going out here covering these fighters while they're still in the sport. That's our objective, what we should be doing. Covering the fighters while they're still in the sport. If you know anything about me, and let me tell you my moniker. These fighters don't owe you a damn thing. I'm almost 50 years old. I don't give a damn. I don't sit up here and get butthurt if a fighter does not give you an interview, people. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and freaking get all freaking agitated and ill-tempered because a fighter chooses not to give me an interview on the drop. You know what I'm saying? People need to understand. Don't come up here and do this. This is another thing that happened. They'll come up here and they'll put a narrative out there. Well, we saw certain media chilling with Deontay in his suite, right? Once again, they're trying to correlate Deontay as one fighter to me in association with, right? So they said, we didn't see any black media up there. I'm saying to myself, this is so sneaky. It's so underhanded, the way they try to turn people against one another. They want you to jump on here and say something negative, or they come up there with their phone and they try to record to shut, period. To shut it down. They want you to say something bad so they can have a reason for you not to be in the presence of these fighters. Because you out here criticizing. Whatever the case may be. It's just too many moving parts out there to be up here concerned about individuals walking up to you. And you know, it's billions, right? But it's on the collective group of boxing media that report on the sport. They want to turn you against each other. And that's not the lane I'm in, man. Seriously, that's not the lane I'm in. I got better shit to do. Hey, Tony Burgess, what's good, man? Sounds like they trying to put you in the algorithm. Sharif Ali, what's good? Stevie Massey in the building, what's good? Jessica Broughton, J.S. Debo, what's good with you? Louis K.O. Shout out to Memphis. Demetrius Carter in the building, what's good? I see you doing your thing out there. But you know, that's what you experience when you get a little airtime or whatever. And you know, my gratitude is always, I say thank you to people and I put it out here and I let them know that I appreciate it. And then, you know, people want to sit up here and find you in public, and instead of trying to say, well, how can I help you get to this level? Or I appreciate what you're doing out here for combat sports. They want to come up here and try to group you with other social media outlets or segues just to try to cause conflict and affliction. And it's just dirty. It gets dirty sometimes. You got to know how to low crawl through the trenches. Seriously. I hear a term that's used a lot with certain people. They always want to call you dick riders if you're supporting a certain fighter. And I don't give a fuck about what you're talking about. That term is abused to no end. If you're out here supporting, you see media from, just say, the UK, they out here supporting, and you see them always in the interviews, fluently. They in there fluently. But yet you got American media that's out here trying to increase their presence and support the fighters. And then you have these other media standing by talking about, oh, they dick riders. But then they trying to get an interview too. You're trying to do the same shit I'm trying to do. That's the whole point of media, right? Freedom of press to go out here and get the drop. And the drop doesn't always land right here in front of you. You have to go find it. Believe that shit. Anyway, leave that shit alone, man. Y'all stop grouping all us together, attempting to, as if, you know, you're not checking out someone's YouTube channel and seeing what the body of work is. Now, I'm going to address some people that's on my live right now, because it's December 1st. And then I'm going to get into Anthony Joshua and Ruiz. Look, World Combat Sports Group, I see a lot of y'all that's passing by solid boxing content that I'm posting on site. And y'all won't even like the content. We're talking about the top tier fighters, right? Y'all won't even like the content or share it. Y'all would share another group, once again, to my group, and get that exposure. You will share all the other content, but the group that you in, you will see solid quality content being posted. Pictures, videos, articles, shit like that. And y'all don't even want to like or share the video. Listen, put more effort into pressing the like button. We live in an era. Hey, listen, this is one thing I had to find out the hard way. We live in an era where people in media, they look at how many likes you got. They look at how many likes you got. Like, forget about breaking bread and having a decent dialogue in person. They worry about how many likes you got to validate who and where you stand in public. I'm kicking this shit. It's 100% authentic, y'all. This is the way people view you. In order for you to watch some of them, and they sit up here and they would say, well, you from so-and-so. And they'll go through a whole summation about what your Facebook look like, your YouTube look like, Twitter, IG, right? Instead of just having a decent one-on-one conversation with you and find out how you are as a person, it's all about what your likes are at. And I just don't get down like that. Like, I would rather meet someone and have a dialogue and let our communication be based off genuine presentation rather than everything that has to do with the social media era. And I'm done with that. Thomas, Yasika, I see you making moves and building your brand. Great job. I appreciate it, Yasika. Shout out to Dominique Robinson Neal, Boxing Academy. You know what's up. Always support. Sharif, sound like they're trying to put you in their algorithm. Well, you know, they try to put you in there by association, algorithm, whatever the case may be, format, setting. That's just the way it is when you out here. Because like I said before, we have billions globally in the populace, right? But when it comes to boxing, it's only a select few that you can hold with both hands. Like, it's only a select few of well-known media that's out here. And even internal to the group of media and the small entity that it is, it's still not close-knit to work as one to push the American market out to the world. It's not close-knit. Everybody's on their own genre. You know, they just want to get in and feel like, if I'm with this particular fighter, I have these particular fans, that's all that matters. So I'm just being honest. I don't think we all work as a close-knit unit, one team, one fight, to push the American fighter's name out there, you know, to the global spectrum. That's all. Why Tony Burgess, I don't know if you're stealing him, but shout out to Tony Burgess, man. He sent me some gear. I appreciate it. You know, Tony Burgess up there in North Carolina, man, you know what it is. He puts on amateur tournaments and everything. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Been knowing him for quite a minute right now. So I know the boxing scene is shut down over there in North Carolina. I seen it coming from a mile away, but continue to do what you do, Burgess Boxing and Fitness, man. The same with Columbia, South Carolina. But that's where I'm at with that. I want y'all to do better, man. I'm asking y'all to do better. It ain't no New Year's resolution. This era that we live in, you have to like the content. You have to share it. It, in association with the person that you're supporting, it helps build a brand, y'all. If you go to the YouTube, you watch the video, how can you have 4,000 views and only 20 likes? And it's quality content, y'all. Like, y'all need to do better. I'm asking you all to do better and build a channel. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to help build the team itself. If you mongering around and just pedestrian World Combat Sports group or YouTube channel, and you don't even share the video or like it, I'm like, what is? If you at the Showtime Top Rank PBC or what, you know, these fights, and you have the opportunity to see before and after the fights, and get to see the interviews with some established names in the sport of boxing, how much effort does it take to press the like button and share the individual's content? It's disrespectful not to share a group content that you're in, but yet you would bring somebody else's content in over there. And then if you think I don't roam around the other groups and see some of the same members in my group over there sharing content, their content to my content, that's bogus, man. You tripping. That's that old school word, you tripping. I'm asking y'all to do better, man. Not in 2020. Today. I don't do New Year's resolutions. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just seen the interview with Tank. He came down here in Atlanta and the fight is popping off the 28th of December. It's a big deal down here in the A because we're not a huge footprint for the sport of boxing, especially with big names. So we need you all to support. I'm asking you all to support. You know, it's not like NYC. NYC over in that landscape has fights all the time. Vegas all the time. Atlanta, it's been since 1998. Evander Holyfield fought Von Beam. Who knows who Von Beam is, but we know the champion of Vander Holyfield. But this fight right here, we have two champions. We have two. A medalist, a gold medalist, and we have a multi-time champion between both. So guess what? Support them, man. They come into the A in the State Farms Arena. They had their first press conference this past Tuesday. And, you know, like the video, man. Share the video. Get the content out there. I'm asking that you all do that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're looking at a fighter that you may or may not support, but they fighting on the top level, why can't you show that interest? And then I post stuff from the Deontay Wilder-Ortiz, Leo Santa Cruz, who just went in there and fought Miguel Flores. If I'm posting this content for you, I'm talking about this is fighting in Vegas on the co-main and main event. And you don't even share it or like it, it's bullshit. I'm just going to keep it a buck. It's bullshit, y'all. That makes someone in the media share on Facebook and just stay strictly to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But you, the fans, is what make it all rotate. Like, I'm the engine. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to you, the fans, it'll allow us to keep on, you know, fueling up and going out here to this next fight card. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people have said it. I've heard it. But people say, well, he don't cover boxing wholeheartedly. He cover MMA. He cover grappling and stuff like that, right? I'm going to tell you this. I don't see you knocking on Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith. I don't see you knocking on a lot of other fighters' not fighters, but a lot of other commentators' names that's up there speaking about more than one genre of sport. Are required and demanded in this era to talk about more than one sport. Seriously. That's why you hear them talking about basketball, football, boxing, MMA. Now, of course, the depth of their knowledge is going to be different between sports. Still, y'all, that's showing their growth. That's showing how deep to learn different layers of professional sports. So that's where I'm at right now. Donette McCray, salute to you. Vega. Hey, Donette, you know very well that's not concerning you. Donette and Donetta, salute always. Day ones from the Get Up. You know what it is. Joseph Rosa, what's good? Greg Everett, salute to y'all. I'm just asking, listen, I'm not a groupie. I can't be 50 years old and a groupie. Just because I'm up here taking initiative, as we call it in the military, taking initiative. If you take an initiative to go out here and get the media drop, it's called just that, initiative. It's not called dick riding. It's not called freaking other shit you want to come up with. It's called taking the initiative and effort and going out here and communicate with these people to get it done. Seriously. I'm sitting up here walking around the MGM, right? And trying to give y'all the post-fight and give you the distance, the remote energy. Those who's walking out the back door. And you won't even get anybody on the live to say, I'm talking about it is something, but you won't even get people on there to like the live and share the live, man. When you seeing people that you haven't met in your lifetime, right there in front of the lens, as I call lens in the moment, you see them coming out and talking. Andy Konaski, came out, Badu Jack. Look, Frampton just fought Lopez last night. And though I didn't get him to come out, I would have gotten that interview. He was up in there, you know what I'm saying? It was so many people, like Andre the Rail, like I told you before. So I don't know what to tell you. I would like to talk to Andre the Rail, but sometimes when a fighter lose, they just don't want to freaking talk to anybody. But give it up to Andre the Rail for going longer than I thought he would with David Benavidez. I got to give him a salute, man. I thought he would be stopped in 3 or 4 rounds like Jalen Love. And speaking of J Love, he was there, you know. If you think these fighters not up, looking what media put up, you're sadly mistaken. They do. They check us out. But I need for you, the fight fans, to check World Combat Sports out. Because you have a lot of people that's strictly YouTube and they don't even fuck with Facebook. They don't. They're big on YouTube for a reason. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see the difference where the presence should differ between Facebook and YouTube. It should be somewhat the same. Donette McCrae said definitely initiative. It is. It's all the way initiative, man. You know what I'm saying? Miguel Hernandez, salute to you. Donette McCrae, I appreciate the live video. You know, I don't jump on live all the time, but when I'm out at a fight card, people, you know, I always try to go live at least once. Like I went live in the weigh-ins. And from the people that was on it barely anybody. This is the weigh-ins, y'all. This is Deontay Wilder and Ruiz-Ortiz weigh-ins. And you'll get people that if you're not a common name and you don't cover strictly boxing, they won't even jump on your live. But I was there live at the weigh-ins. I was there live post-fight. What more do you want from me? Like Tyrese said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what the fuck you want? You know? I mean, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. I've been saying from the beginning, one team, one fight, y'all. That's the way it should be. If I didn't really give a damn, I wouldn't go live. I wouldn't try to post, you know, certain live videos at a moment for you all to get that visual. It's people out there that don't even do that. They just go on YouTube, they pop up a video, and I understand why they do that. Because they force you to go over there where it benefits them most. I get it. They go to YouTube where it benefits them most. And I'm learning. Seriously. But about Anthony Joshua, right? Listen, Anthony Joshua steps in there with Andy Ruiz. Let's get some clarity as to what's going on. Deontay Wilder closed out Ruiz-Ortiz. He's going to be chilling for a little bit, a brief hiatus, before he steps back in there in fight camp for a projected fight with Tyson Fury. All right? This is a big deal, you know, because what we want to do is somewhat have an assumption that the heavyweight division is going to bridge the disparity that we have right now in getting a unified champion, one face, one name, one champ. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, after this fight this weekend, it happens. Now, for those of you that's followed me most of the time when Anthony Joshua was still unified champion, he had the belts that Ruiz is currently in possession of. I want to address some things. The individuals that always provided Anthony Joshua with the pedestal, they always placed him at the highest tier. They always placed him in the pantheon of boxing without any belts. They compared him to Muhammad Ali just because he changed up his outfit and garb and entered the ring in a white trunk and a robe in front of his UK audience. All the time I was over there in these groups saying that I just don't see how spectacular are you gauging or rating Anthony Joshua's technical ability. I just don't see it. So when it came time for him be in direct range of Deontay Wilder and potentially fighting Deontay Wilder, there was so many freaking excuses. Anthony Joshua had so many opportunities when he had the belts to face his most competitive opposition across the pond, and Deontay Wilder basically went through it and basically treated the joke. If it was something for him to play around with. That's exactly what happened. Because put it this way, we're all intelligent adults, right? I'm going to gauge you off that. We're all intelligent adults, right? So if you're not demanding the rest of your opponents, your collective opponents, like Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, if you're not demanding they take a flat fee, but yet and still, they lack the prestige right now in the championship division of holding a belt, to exclude Joseph Parker, I'm just saying, Deontay has the coveted WBC. Why would you place that burden, that onus on Deontay Wilder to take a flat fee? And the line that you want to use is, it's more than what he's ever made. You know what I'm saying? More than what he's ever made in his boxing career per fight. We're going to give him that. So check it out. We really don't truly know what. But I remember all his fans over there in groups like Die Hard Boxing that has no freaking structure. You can run back and tell them too. I sit up here on live and debate any one of them admins over there in Die Hard Boxing because they don't know shit about the sport. And you don't even hear me say about that. You don't even hear me talk about somebody don't know shit about the sport. But those admins in there, including Chris Nobles, you don't know shit about boxing. Anyway, all them people want to sit up here and glorify Anthony Joshua for his rope technique. I'm saying, okay, it's that easy to throw a 1-2, step back, forward, 1-2, shoot the right uppercut, shoot the right down the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the unpredictability with Anthony Joshua? Did we see it in Carlos Takam? Because Carlos Takam was able to get up from Anthony Joshua, but the fight was stopped prematurely. You heard me talk about this shit before, right? So where did all this Anthony Joshua power come from to continue to have a place above Deontay Wilder when it came to heavyweights? I'm going to tell you how fucking 12 million, 12.5 million flat fee. Nothing off the back end. I mean, I'm talking about a huge truckload that you could potentially make off the back end. No, we don't want that. Then you say the 15 mil, right? We'll bump that up a little bit. It's still disrespectful. But that's what Eddie Hearns and Anthony Joshua had going on at the time. Then he fucks around outside of his dragamon, their interpreters, his babysitters, and gets on the damn mic and says, if you give me 50 million, I'll fight you tomorrow, Deontay. I'll do it. I'll do it. Give me 50 million. Behold, lo and behold, people, phone calls was made, and Deontay and his people somehow met the request. And what happened? Anthony Joshua turns around and say, I'm not going to sell my soul. I'm not going to sell my belts for 50 million. No, you're not selling your belts if you plan on keeping them, right? If Anthony Joshua planned on keeping his belts, who in their right mind to say, I'm not selling my belts for 50 million? I can find you a boatload of fighters that's out there that would have took that fight for 50 million. Look, it wasn't even his cap money. 50 million was what he was guaranteed. He was sure to make some millions, several more million, right? Who wouldn't have taken 50 million guaranteed money to come over to fight at a specific month of the year, which would have been last December? Who wouldn't have taken that? 50 freaking million. And I'm going to give you a comparison as to why it's so stupid. Why the casual boxing fans want to continue to make fucking excuses for Anthony Joshua. Because Anthony Joshua found out that they pretty much drained out the UK fan base over there. It's only so much cap that you can put on these tickets, right? Before the UK fans like, nah, we started off paying $50 for these seats up here. Now you're trying to say we need to pay $250. That's not going to happen. So now they found out they had to go across the pond to the US to make more revenue, to source the US market. Why? This is where boxing reigns supreme, man. We do it over here. It's been like that for decades. And who you want to select? Jarrell Miller. Karma is a bitch, ain't it? They sit up here and select Jarrell Miller because somehow, some way, Eddie Hearns felt that he was an easy touch. He would be just right, you know, for freaking Anthony Joshua. And I believe Jarrell Miller would have put the pause on freaking Joshua. Seriously, I believe, I don't care what he popped for, I believe Jarrell Miller would have made it a damn good fight. So he comes over here, that bloviates, implode, done. Then somehow, some way, karma presents itself a second time and them selecting Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz steps through the ropes and goes early and then Joshua. Now you tell me how out of place Anthony Joshua looked when he was in there with Andy Ruiz. And what's bad, right? It's some people that's on here that's watching this live. They will say, well, we like Anthony Joshua for how his physique and aesthetic was. He talks well, comparable to Deontay Wilder. But they won't say Deontay Wilder comes into these fights freaking just at 210, a little bit under. And then, you know, for the last fight, he was like 219. He's a lighter heavyweight that's going in there finishing dudes that's much bigger than him. So no matter how big Anthony Joshua was, if he would have stepped in there with Deontay Wilder, it still would have been a problem. And I just don't understand why, for certain individuals, they choose to always talk about verbiage, dialogue. Because then the same ignorant people that want to sit up here and criticize me for using words that's in the freaking Webster dictionary. But yet they sit up here and criticize fighters for not speaking a certain way, but they glorify the neighboring media and fighters in the UK as if they playing a cello, a violin, listening to the melody of when the UK media speaks. They could say no wrong. The UK media can go up here and say, oh, he looks so beautiful. He's in great shape. Not over here in American media. You know what I'm saying? Like, they jump on board with every narrative that the UK media uses. I don't have any problem with the UK media. I see them in passing. I did interviews next to them. It is what it is. But I'm talking about the US fans that was in California for Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and they up there singing Sweet Caroline and not even showing the American heavyweight champ no love. And you know, seriously, you know how fucked up that is? Listen, you have to realize, right? You have to realize something. Whether you respect it or not, you're going to hear it. How is it that Tyson Fury was once the unified champion and never defended a belt, but you have a champion out here that's defending his belt a 9th time, 8th time, been champion over 4.5 years, has the coveted WBC? How can you sit up here and say Deontay Wilder, who hasn't popped positive, who hasn't had any out of ring distractions and stuff like that? I'm talking about stereotypical correlation that goes along with certain fighters. You know what I'm saying? It might be black fighters that they'll say, well, he likes doing this, he likes doing that. Like when Deontay said he want to catch a body, the Bronze Bomber want to catch a body. But do you believe that statement outweighs what Tyson Fury did when he popped positive for cocaine and peds and out of the sport, when he was strung out on drugs and he was like 400 and umpteenth amount of pounds? Walks in, he takes advantage of something that was built over here on American culture. And we hear the fans, yay, he has on his red, white, and blue. We love Tyson Fury. He's one of the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the best ever. Now, granted, Tyson Fury, he can get in front of camera and talk. Right? Isn't that what Deontay do? Have you not seen Deontay get in public and talk and give an interview? Have you not listened to the American heavyweight champ give interviews to these medias out here? Have you not seen him in person, give an interview? He takes his time and he gives you what you ask for, period. And, he gives you a bomb squad at the end. Tyson Fury goes out and he's dependent on drugs. He does all these things to defend a single title. But yet when Anthony Joshua gets stopped by Ruiz, you put Tyson Fury in front of Deontay Wilder. It's BS. What's up, K-Dog? Kevin Davis in the building. Salute, man. Day one. Appreciate your support there, K-Dog. Shout out to Street Beefs. Tony Grano, what's good? Michael Colbert, salute to you. I mean, that's just straight up facts in a lot of ways you look at it. Like, Anthony Joshua was this grand poobah of the heavyweight division. He could do no wrong. He can sit up here and do an interview on ESPN and say he want to leave Deontay knocked out in front of his family and stuff like that. And people just brush that shit off, right? They exclude it from their social media podcast. But then you have Wilder that'll get on here. Always find it easy to open that gate of criticism to say, oh, the way he speaks and what he says and all this other stuff. But do you look at the entire action? Like when he's doing interviews, he would speak forever and a day. I mean, isn't that what you want from a champion? You want them to speak, right? Like you want them to speak to their fans, right? That's what Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali spoke in a way that was much more egotistical than Deontay Wilder. It was. It's point blank. Muhammad Ali let you know, I'm the greatest. No one's going to change that. I don't care what you say. No one's going to tell me I'm not the greatest. If Muhammad Ali never coined, I am the greatest, do you think it would be in the annals of boxing right now every time his name is mentioned? Do you think the general public would have basically labeled or titled Muhammad Ali the greatest if he wouldn't have said it all the time and went in there and performed? They wouldn't. It's a lot of areas on what we respect about Muhammad Ali, but we don't respect about what Deontay Wilder is given as an American heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? If we had other American heavyweight champions that was up in the ranking system, that was up here doing it big, okay, let's go. Give us a reason. We want to talk about you. But it's just catastrophe. It's disaster. Jarrell Miller popped. Dillian White popped. I know he's over across the pond. I'm just saying. The next ones that was the mandatory, the ones that was in line, they all popped. They went into seclusion. So who else is it to freaking praise? As Deontay Wilder said, give him his flowers. Who else to give this praise and plaudits to if you are suspended? No one. We have Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. And I put, I put Andy Ruiz like in that fourth spot. Because Andy Ruiz, the only fight he was really known for was his decision with Joseph Parker, okay? So somebody fucked around and went up there and did a little bogus site survey in their selection process. And guess what? They picked the wrong guy. So my next topic is going to be Andy Ruiz. I salute Andy Ruiz being the first Mexican heavyweight. Real talk, nice guy, soft-spoken. You know what I'm saying? People look at him like, man, I can really relate to Andy Ruiz. See, here we go again. Another neighboring fighter, I can really relate. He's a nice guy. He does so many things good. So recently, Andy Ruiz been out here purchasing high-priced luxury vehicles. Why is that so gravitating? Like, we've seen that plenty of times from TBE. Y'all get on here and criticize Floyd for buying all these vehicles. Talking about, oh, he just wastes his money. He just spends his money. He just does things. He don't give back to the community. Sure he does. But y'all criticize him for the same thing you praising Andy Ruiz for. And hypocrite, or however you want to phrase it. Andy Ruiz's technical ability in the ring versus Anthony Joshua wasn't that sound. Come on, y'all. I know he has that amateur pedigree. Look at the fight. Andy Ruiz, the way he was throwing those punches on Anthony Joshua, stylistically, was suited perfect for the chinny Joshua. Period. That overhand left that he landed on the top of the head with Anthony Joshua. Listen, that shit wouldn't have put Deontay down. That's one thing you have to understand. If you're gonna criticize a windmill, like the guy on Showtime, I forgot his name. He said, well, the only time Deontay didn't throw a freaking windmill was when he landed that last combination or whatever he was trying to say. I say, man, they still talking about a windmill punch. You know what I'm saying? They still talking about a freaking windmill outside of him finishing his opponents. Just think about it. He was supposed to go in here and fighter potentially on his resume because he don't have the technical ability. You're saying this when the man is 32-0, 33-0, 35, 36, 39. He doesn't have the technical ability. 40. Tyson Fury was supposed to be the man. You know what I'm saying? And then Dominique Brazil slides up in there. Just enough energy to have a backstory between these two, to get the fans to come see it. And what happened? 2 minutes, 17 seconds. He get blasted. You know what I'm saying? Brutal punch. And, you know, from what JD said, you know, they was working on. And, you know, I had the opportunity to see Deontay spar for the first time, which you didn't, you know, sparring, the code, you don't record it or anything. It's no way you record sparring. But that gave me, as media, another level to learn about Deontay in their sparring. You know, at that time, I think he sparred 3 heavyweights. And that's why I say the dang media was so productive. Because in this media business, you have to go to school also. You have to go to school. It's almost like going to class all the time. So when I interviewed JD's, he said it was a blind 2. And I totally get what he's saying. You know, when he hit him with a blind 2. You know, Deontay Wilder pulled his jab and then came down the middle and crushed Ortiz. One of the most devastating knockouts on Deontay's resume, in my opinion. I know the champ said Spilker was, only because Spilker was moving toward the champ, and the champ caught him with the right, and in the process of his momentum, carried him into a knockout, face first. And we didn't really understand whether the man was alive. But if you look at the Ruiz-Ortiz first fight, him being dropped, able to rise, and then him being dropped with that uppercut to finish the fight, he was still like, okay. You know, he was still like coherent. He got up, the referee stopped the fight, but okay. It seemed like he had some wits about him, right? But this one punch at the MGM Grand in the rematch, when he hit Ruiz-Ortiz, respiration, the body fluids, the temperature which Ortiz in that fight was sweating, almost emulated his soul being released out the backside of his head. Seriously, y'all. When he hit the man, it was a wash. It was almost like a spray that came out the back of Ruiz-Ortiz's head that almost can be considered like his soul left his body. Again. It was just crazy. It was amazing to watch, man. But Andy Ruiz, it's, I don't like doing no conspiracy shit, really. But Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua being in Saudi Arabia, I don't like prognosticating negativity. I always say that. Like, it is going to be what it is. But these two are going over to Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua getting paid $85 million, Andy Ruiz $13, right? So I look at it. I was like, is Andy Ruiz really, truly these belts? Like, which fighter balances out the checkbook for future paydays against a unification bout? Which fighter would do it better? You know what I'm saying? Which fighter would do it better? Who would bring more money to the table? Who would be potentially the fighter that steps up and face Deontay Wilder? And look, without no hesitation, without any compunction, I would say Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, without a doubt, in my OP, would be the one to step in there with the champ to say, let's unify this division. That's the vibe, the energy I get. I don't give a damn if I'm wrong. It's just my opinion. I believe Andy Ruiz would be the fighter if he defeats Anthony Joshua to step in there and face Deontay Wilder. Now, what I do know about boxing is that it's a lot of under-the-table handshakes, grip and grin photos, and all of it is a farce. We truly don't know what's being spoken about behind those closed doors. We really don't. So after this fight this weekend between Joshua and Ruiz, we might see something totally different. I know it's been... We're going to see Deontay Wilder with a quick turnaround, step back in there and face Tyson Fury. But as we know boxing politics, what potentially may happen? We may see some changes. We may see some changes, y'all. We may see a point where someone get paid, step aside, and we try to have a unification bout. I don't know. All I'm saying is, right now with the momentum that Andy Ruiz has, if he's able to step back in there and defeat Anthony Joshua, the Mexican boxing fan base, compared to the American fan base for Deontay Wilder, fight for a unification. The card would do tremendous amount of numbers. Tremendous amount of numbers. To see a unification bout, man, come on, who was the last? Lennox Lewis? I mean, to see a unification bout in the heavyweight division against one of the hardest punchers, going against the first Mexican heavyweight champion, it would do solid ass numbers, y'all. It would be solid. But guess what? We have to make the fight happen. And there's some preliminaries that we have to go through, starting with this weekend. This fight this weekend, for sure, it's going down. They're already there. It's going to work. It's you know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. We need a heavyweight unification bout. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, Tyson Fury has been all around the media. They love having Tyson Fury behind the mic saying the same punchline all the time. You big bum dosser. He say that so many times, man. He the one called fighters bums, but y'all want to get on social media and rant and rave about certain individuals calling people bum, but y'all not on Tyson Fury's freaking fan page saying, why do you always call fighters bums? Because you all sit up here and appreciate him doing that. Fury's been making his ways around in the media, you know, but I get a little finicky, a little feeling that something may transpire between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury before it actually happens. I get the same feeling about this Anthony Joshua-Andy Ruiz fight. A lot of people, from what I'm hearing, is Anthony Joshua's done if he loses this fight. And I disagree, because that would be only his second loss. That would be only his second loss, people. Anthony Joshua's still fairly decent on the front door of his 30s. You know what I'm saying? He on the front door. He still has time to go out here and make a legacy. It's going to be tough to build his legacy back up if he loses to Andy Ruiz a second time. I just cannot feel comfortable, within my fragmented predictions to sit up here and say, you know what? Anthony Joshua is going to beat Andy Ruiz this weekend. I cannot place myself comfortably to say, yeah, it's going to happen. I have no confidence. I never had confidence in Anthony Joshua's ability, and it proved itself. It's maturated right in front of the eyes of the same individuals that was kicking people out the group on here, whining and crying, to my Anthony Joshua, he's the best. Man, he's the best. No one's, Deontay can't touch him. And I always hear the F word all the time. Always hear the F word. Anthony Joshua is fundamentally better than Deontay Wilder. He's fundamentally sound. He's fundamentally this. All I heard was fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. And then once again, they always, after the fight, bring up Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the goddamn mouth. On that, look, right? Doesn't it require a ring IQ and fundamentals to land the shot? It requires fundamentals to land the shot, people. You just can't say Deontay just have power and then he doesn't have a ring IQ to complement it. And then for execution, he doesn't have a thought process when to pick the perfect time to shut it down. And when you were blessed with a innate gift like that, people never give you credit for it. Like they don't give Roy Jones credit for what he was able to do in the ring because they say he was innately gifted. A lot of what he does, he was innately gifted. Because they say what Roy Jones did doesn't transfer over to other fighters. We haven't had another fighter that come out here and fight like Roy Jones. An anomaly to his own boxing style in the sport of boxing. Hands down, period. Deontay Wilder is the same way. You could talk about how he windmills and he doesn't have this, that, and the other, but he's the hardest puncher in the history of boxing. I know people get mad about, oh, Mike Tyson would have did this. Listen, he's proven that he can take a punch. Who's saying Mike Tyson would have dropped him when Bone Crusher Smith went the distance? He was the first man to go the distance with Mike Tyson. So how can you say Deontay Wilder wouldn't be able to go out here and give Mike Tyson a good bout? It's absurd to not be open-minded about that process. It's possible, y'all. Yeah, straight up, Kevin. Kevin said, I love it. Everyone has a plan too. Yep, everyone has a plan, man. That's exactly, the point I'm trying to make. Like, everybody say it's easy. You step through the ropes. You saw Ruiz-Ortiz get knocked out worse than he did the first time. Now, granted, the fight wasn't as active as the first bout. It wasn't. It wasn't as active. And people get on here and say, well, I don't see how you can say what you're saying about that fight when he lost the first 6 rounds. Who says that he lost the first 6 rounds when the fight ended in a knockout? I would kind of place clarity on, like, possibly he may be behind in the fight, but to say you lost mean somehow, some way you had to have a victory. And the victory isn't until the fight finished. So when the fight concludes and the scorecards are rendered, then you have what you have. And you really can't trust all of that because we all know within boxing, it is what it is, man. People, sit up here and finagle their just like last night, man. Lopez and freaking Valdez. They had Valdez ahead when Lopez was giving him the business. Shit. Lopez was giving Valdez the business, dropped him in the second. You know what I'm saying? But yet the scorecards come out, they gave him that 10-8. They gave Lopez the 10-8. But before that round actually happened, he was getting it. And they was giving freaking 9s to Lopez. Man, they was about to screw that man out of a freaking goddamn fight. He just fucked around and got knocked out. Boxing is amazing, man. I mean, and it's going to be amazing this weekend because I don't see Anthony Joshua. I don't see it, man. I just can't give Anthony Joshua any accolades right now, skill-wise. Because I want to hold y'all accountable, especially the casuals. So some of the boxing fans is not casuals, but you're extremely biased. You're extremely fucking biased. I want to tell you this. The same people that was on the Anthony Joshua parade when he was talking all nice and Eddie Hearns had to be by his side, making sure he phrased his narratives correctly for the viewing public. Write this down so he can read this. Now what you see from Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua hair is all grown in. The line ain't crispy. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua can get a tattoo on his finger. He's talking about F everybody. Now he's trying to bring the thug out. I mean, come on. Joshua's trying to bring the thug out. First it was, okay, the bronze bomber. Joshua wanted to be like, F everybody. Now he's acting like Eminem. He want to damn shoot. He want to post the birds up. You know what I'm saying? He want to send the middle fingers in the air heading into this fight. He's trying to mentally psych himself up to say, you know what, I need to come off as the bad guy, the heel, because Andy Ruiz is such a nice dude. He's so nice. And they respect him for being himself. See, Joshua was never being himself. He was in a character. Now he's saying, fuck it, the fans don't respect me because I lost my belts. I don't get that same glorification now that I don't have my belts. So it's called being taught the hard way there, Anthony Joshua. A lot of people was trying to tell you this to begin with when you was sitting up here treating U.S. fans like we immigrants. A planet that you couldn't come to because the people wasn't up to your status. They wasn't up to your fluency. You know what I'm saying? And look, even when Anthony Joshua came over here for fight week with Andy Ruiz, what happened? They did media days, one of the worst media days I've ever seen in my tenure. Anthony Joshua had media members, majority from the UK footprint, over here in the US asking him those questions. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua had members of the media over here in the US, what we call plants, asking him the easy questions, not to stress him out, just to give him the comfort, that posturepedic verbal pillow, that he can just answer these questions any way he feel like, because it was media entities there for the US that may have criticized Anthony Joshua or may have some harsh, abrasive words or questions for Anthony Joshua. And that's BS. That's BS, man. The moderation that they put up for Anthony Joshua when he came over here, and there was a lot of U.S. people that was really on his bandwagon that would have loved to freaking get an interview with him or be in the media scrum. They wasn't able to because it was UK media all around in a special location. I can't respect that. Not when American champ is in the proximity doing interviews, walking as he please. I'm talking about freaking hour interviews, man. Answering freaking questions. I can't respect that, Anthony Joshua. And you know, I'm sugarcoat anything just because it's close to Christmas. Like I have gingerbread cookies baking in the oven. Nah, I'm gonna tell you point blank. I don't have no confidence in you going in there defeating Andy Ruiz. It's something funny going on here with this bout. I just cannot like dial it in yet because, you know, if it actually hasn't presented itself, it's, you know, when you have the instinct that something's funny is going on due to the location. I know they're over there for the money. All right. It's smart. It's smart for them to go with Saudi Arabia for the money. They got that liquid money over there. Shit is grand, right? So they're going over to Saudi Arabia, get a nice hefty paycheck. $85 million for Anthony Joshua. It's just incredible for someone who doesn't have a single title. You know what I'm saying? For him not to have a single title, he's getting $85 million. That's a good bag right there. That's a heavy bag. Seriously, not the one in the gym either. The one that you carry outside when you know you done made a damn, you know what I'm talking about. You done went in there and made a what? Hey man, that's a nice one. Seriously, $85 million? And you don't have a single title? That's a nice withdrawal from the bank, man. And then they're giving Andy Ruiz $13 million, and somebody need to call his accountant because this man up here just spending money like it's crazy. And he couldn't have got paid that much to the point where he's just out here saying, okay, fuck it. Unless he's buying over there in Mexico where it's a lot more inexpensive. I don't know. But I just can't give Anthony Joshua the check in the box to defeat Andy Ruiz after what I saw the first time. And it's good to see Anthony Joshua try to turn heel. Convince a lot of people, especially over here on the U.S. footprint, of his bad boy image. Because we already saw what he's like. Until Anthony Joshua steps over here and address the media without all the perimeter and all the freaking, you know, security, without all the shit in place, type of specifications and what questions to ask, he's not going to get any respect like he should from the U.S. media. You know what I'm saying? I'm really not talking about the fans who's going to cheer him on, you know, at the top of the when he drops back through. I'm just talking about perspective. Until he comes over here and really opens up to the U.S. media, hey, it is what it is, man. You know, his trainer was over there in the MGM Grand. I was able to catch him briefly, but a lot of people was over there talking. I mean, he gave a good interview, man. And, you know, I have to give it to him. He gave a good interview. It would have been good to just basically get him one-on-one to try to talk about. And I know he probably wouldn't have told us much, but I just would like to know the mindset of Anthony Joshua heading over there to Saudi Arabia. Ask his coach to his face, did you believe Anthony Joshua can go in here and defeat Andy Ruiz? If it means fighting through the heaviest storm he ever did for his freaking integrity, his brand, and his respect, to step in there with Andy Ruiz, who finished him, didn't win by a unanimous decision, did not win by a split decision. He was stopped. Don't come with me with this bullshit, y'all, because he loved to give excuses for Anthony Joshua. Oh, he was looking directly at the ref after he picked up his gum shield. He was coherent. No, I don't want to hear that. Because look at the Joseph Parker to rip off his own tape. Look at the fights Anthony Joshua was a part of when he got hurt. He would take his own time out and do what the hell he wanted to do. So when he turned his back on the referee and there with Andy Ruiz, this ain't the UK, homie. This is not the place to go up here and think you running the stage play. He turned over there and then looked over the ropes and then turned around and you know, this isn't his first fight, because you always want to make it clear that Anthony Joshua did this in this many fights, just like you do Lomachenko, right? So Anthony Joshua has his hand up against the ropes, looking crazy, and the referee waved off the fight. And then he get this dumb look on his face like, what are you doing? Hold that man accountable. Silky Wilkie, what's good, man? Dominique Robertson-Neal, salute. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. Anthony Joshua, man, it ain't no babysitting over here. You got a job to do. Something's going on. I just can't put my whole finger on it, but I'm just saying that, you know, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, if you follow boxing all the time, you would have seen the interview where Anthony Joshua still has this barrier up. Talk about Deontay Wilder. I can't call it purpose. I can't really say he has a reason to be upset with Deontay Wilder, because, look, Deontay Wilder faced Tyson Fury when he stepped in the ring, and Tyson Fury seemed like he was high off something, just acting a complete nutcase, right? And then when it came to Anthony Joshua, the Klitschko brothers freaking stepped up in the ring. You know, Anthony Joshua's had people step to him in the worst way than Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder was never provided the opportunity. That's real. So whatever barrier that he has placed up, that he doesn't want to answer questions about the champ, he doesn't want to answer the questions. It's so female-like. Like, you acting real bougie a little bit. Like, why wouldn't you want to, and you've experienced Jarrell Miller getting in your face talking about your mother? Jarrell Miller disrespected Anthony Joshua when they came over to NYC. So why are you sitting up here in an interview saying, I really don't want to talk about Anthony Joshua? Because I think the establishment has been made that he understands who the alpha is. I'm just saying. Seriously, I'm just saying. I just think, you know, deep down in the reservoir where he's supposed to tap into that next level of mental fortitude, it's just not there for Anthony Joshua. I'm just saying, like, when you don't want to talk about a fighter that has a belt, you're pretty comfortable with what you got going on right now. So I think with Anthony Joshua, he was saying, I'm making the money without Deontay. So I'm not confident in me walking through the ropes to beat him, because I don't want to be held the fuck out. So I just don't want to talk about him, period. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to talk about him, period. I'm done talking about that. Let's talk about the other divisions that's popping off. I ran into a post that was talking about Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, right? So they're still talking about Terrence Crawford resume in the welterweight division. And when you're running these people that understands that there's a lot of interpretation that boxing can go, many different angles, right? When you actually delegating different shots in boxing. But sometimes you're disappointed when people look at something so simple and they say, well, Terrence Crawford resume at welterweight is not even comparable to Errol Spence. Like, I'm looking at that, and I really don't want to just, you know, go Hulk and place my hands on the keyboard and go in on these people, because that's not really what I do unless I'm provoked. They sit up here compare Terrence Crawford resume, Horn, David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? They comparing Terrence Crawford welterweight resume. His first fight in the division, he fought a champion. I don't give a damn if his name was Jeff Horn from Australia or Atlanta, Georgia. He fought a freaking champion. Period. I don't want to hear anything else about it. When Errol Spence was the IBF champion, he fought Carlos Ocampo and talking about he was the next mandatory, and he wasn't. No one even knew about Carlos Ocampo. Anyway, Errol Spence started off at 154. He dropped down to 147. So you're trying to tell me a person that's been campaigning in that welterweight division for quite an extensive amount of time, his resume in the welterweight division should be comparable to a 3-division champion, but you just want to single out the welterweight standing. That's all you want to do. You want to say, oh, we're just going to take his body of work in the welterweight division vice Errol Spence's body of work. Okay, let's do Jerry in there. Are you going to put Lamont Peterson in there? No, right? They're going to put Kell Brook in there. That's what they're going to do. But not without criticism that he faced Triple G. But in this particular narrative, they say, let's put Kell Brook in there because he won the title. He went across the pond and won the title. All right, cool. Who's next? He won the freaking title. We ain't mentioning no Carlos Ocampo. Carlos Ocampo, who is that guy? You know what I'm saying? And then Mikey Garcia steps up. You can't mention him because though he's a 4-division champion, listen, the man was undersized and outworked and performed in the worst way. The only thing he was able to provide a bragging rights to was not being stopped. That's Mikey Garcia. So I'm still trying to say, if a person that's campaigning the welterweight division for this extensive amount of time, he should have a list to his body of work that we can just automatically just say, here, I'm submitting this to you. This is what Errol Spence has to offer from the welterweight division. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This body of work right here. We ain't talking about Sean Porter. We're talking about everybody below Sean Porter up to his defining unification bout. We should be able to take these names and say this for action to the debate. Because I'm going to tell you, Sean Porter was taking that work to Errol Spence. And Errol Spence was freaking getting it back periodically throughout the fight. Like I say, the rounds that Sean Porter won was definitive. Some of the rounds could go either way with Errol Spence. But one thing I have to accredit Errol Spence is doing is staying true to the game, staying vigilant, and look, prove that he's that much better than Sean Porter when it comes to boxing. Because for him to throw that left hook in the heat of the storm that late in the fight is respectable. You have to salute that. It's respectable that he was able to stay tight, still delegating a strategy, still working his fundamentals, still executing the right way to land that left hook. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sweet signs all the way to the damn championship rounds. Work. Y'all need to stop comparing Terrence Crawford welterweight body of work to that of Errol Spence. The man's been campaigning in the welterweight division for quite some time. You cannot say the same for Terrence Crawford because he just recently came up there and fought Jeff Horn. It's not debunking it. It's just clear and concise data that you have right there to go off of. Just look at BoxRec and see when Terrence Crawford crossed over the welterweight. And see how long Errol Spence has been in welterweight division since dropping back down from 154. That's all I can tell you. Now, you do have Danny Garcia, and you do have the 8th division champion Manny Pacquiao. All right? Manny Pacquiao, 8th division champion. I mean, you know, that shit speaks for itself. He's in a class of his own for a reason. Now, right now, I really want to see him step in there with somebody that's going to give him a great fight. Within testing, of course. I don't give a damn who sits up here and get mad and try to say, are you hating? How can I be hating in this public record that Manny Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman outside of Wilder testing? And then you want to turn around and say, well, they was tested. If it says no testing, why would you get tested? Why would you volunteer services to put yourself in a predicament? I want to see Manny Pacquiao fight a top-tier opponent with involved testing. Whether it's Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, that's one fight I know damn well they're not going to select. Sean Porter, you know what? Listen, I think Sean Porter deserves to face Manny Pacquiao for the WBA super title. He deserves it. Sean Porter put on a hell of a show against damn Errol Spence. For real. Back around and fight for a title. Absolutely. He's had the IBF, WBC. Why not the WBA? Why not? Sean Porter deserves to turn right back around and face Manny Pacquiao if the opportunity presents itself. Real talk. I know it's not going to happen because he'll beat the brakes off Manny Pacquiao. Sean Porter will beat the brakes off Manny Pacquiao. AARP will be ringside to sign him up for hospice care once the fight is over. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Manny Pacquiao be in a bad place. If he faced that dog and Sean Porter to face Errol Spence, crucial. Absolutely crucial. So with Danny Garcia though, Danny Garcia is that name that's out there that's a tough opposition for the right style. I'm just not all motivated and amped up to see Danny Garcia step in there against some of the top welterweights. Like I wouldn't care to see him step in there with Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? I really wouldn't see a care for him to step in there with Errol Spence. I just don't clear. And and talking to Errol Spence, he has been cleared. So a lot of people was kind of bantering interim title, right? Which really would have screwed a lot of stuff up because interim title allows people to walk around and say, I'm the champ. I'm a welterweight champ. Just like they do when they have the WBA regular title. I'm a champ. So he's been cleared medically. Following a horrific car accident. He's been cleared. So we're waiting on the date for him to step back in and the opponent for which he will be facing. And the question is, who will it be? Because you know what would be gangster? You know what would be gangster, though, for Errol Spence? Besides the post that he said immediately following the accident, no broken bones, I'm a savage. Is that if he was to face Manny Pacquiao out the gate after a freaking crazy accident, you know what I'm saying? It would be gangster. Just like Willie Pep, that airplane accident. Willie Pep damn near lost his life and he still competed in the ring. Seriously. That would be gangster for Errol Spence to step in here and face Manny Pacquiao following an accident like that. And I think that would be a good fight for him, man. Seriously. Styles make fights. Credentials, butts to the seats. And the rest is what it is. Manny Pacquiao with the Filipino boxing nation against Errol Spence. I truly believe that if that was to happen off the accident with his injuries, seeing his mugshot, stepping in there to face Manny Pacquiao, that'd be solid. Right there. Seriously. That'd be absolute gangster. Seriously. What's up, Smith? Yates in the building. Weiss. Terrell, salute. Smith, what's good? Emmanuel Smith, salute to y'all. Be sure to share the content on YouTube. All y'all that's tuned in, Ask for y'all help. If you pass through the content, y'all, like the content. It's just this right here. Press the mouse, like the content, share the content on YouTube or whatever, because that's what era we live in. Now, I'm going to take it. Seriously, I'm going to take it for what it is. Yeah, I'm just giving a reservation period. I'm going to take it for what it is. I go out my way. If y'all ain't sharing my content and y'all don't want to or whatever, I say, all right, cool, whatever. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, back to, the welterweight division. I really hope they get that locked in. Now to the 135-pound division, if you watch the interview that happened with me and Gervonta Tank Davis, I kind of want to, get some clarity as to how his thought process was stepping into the 135-pound division. Because I asked Devin Haney about, what his reaction was to people giving him flack about the franchise championship. And he didn't say too much. He said they're going to say what they say, but he went in there and defended it, so he's legit now. He defended the title, and it is what it is, man. It wasn't against a top-tier name, I'm saying per se, in the 135, but he just got there. So give Devin Haney his props. He is a WBC champion, all right? Now, where the BS lives in the current is floating downstream is Lomachenko. Lomachenko said he vacated because you're the one that requested the franchise championship. Why would you separate yourself from facing a top-tier name like Devin Haney, who's moving up and has that momentum behind him, that would have gave Lomachenko some serious problems? Luke Campbell did. So Devin Haney would have gave a good, solid showing of himself against Lomachenko. But Lomachenko chose to go out the back door, accept the franchise championship, and now he's talking about catching the elevator down to 130 and playing around down there. Now, he can say what he wants, but people are going to say, okay, Lomachenko, look, in one narrative, you want to say he's the pound-for-pound champion, but yet you're not really criticizing what's evident here. Him accepting the franchise championship, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, which he can't lose the title. He cannot lose the freaking title. So all the people and the voices that was up here praising this man, you have to hold him freaking accountable, man. Y'all have to hold this man accountable. If he was ducking Devin Haney, hey, call it the way it is. Anyway, I was talking to Gervonta. He's going to fight this month, Yurkus Gamboa. It's going to be a solid fight. You know what I'm saying? I do believe Tank Davis will stop Gamboa probably in the 7th. You know what I'm saying? I really do. I really do believe that Tank Davis will, at one point in time during the fight, I just don't see Gamboa going the distance with Tank Davis. I don't. But his media day, I try to pull it out of him, to try to get a lane on where he was going in his direction in the 135-pound division. Because this month we still have Richard Comey and Teofimo Lopez that has since just faded away. Like, Teofimo was so hot at one opportunity. Look, operate. 1 minute they're serenading you with love, and the next minute you have a subpar performance. They want to say, put him in the closet, and we'll crack the door open when we want him to breathe a little bit. So Teofimo was talking about the takeover. He went in there against Magdalena, and he was just on a high. And then he had that okay bout, his last outing. It was okay. And people just abandoned ship on Teofimo. Like, they said he has a lot of holes in his game, this, that, and the other. He ain't ready, to step in here against Lomachenko. And no one's really talking about the fight with Richard Comey and Teofimo. But that's going to be a solid-ass fight, man. Richard Comey looked damn good against Ray Beltran. But, hey, listen, he looked great because Beltran gave him that perfect mirror style that he can shine with. He's going to stand there. It's going to be a cubicle type fight, phone booth in the presence of one another. And fighters threw down. Teofimo's not going to give Richard Comey that visual. He's not going to give Richard Comey that. Both fighters are going to have to pick and choose and acclimate and make those changes to win that bout. But I like it though. I like the way Richard Comey looked. And I still have real confidence in Teofimo. Damn good fight. So just say whoever you pick out of Richard Comey, Teofimo, IBF champion, they have to come see either Lomachenko if he doesn't vacate the remaining, the belt that he has. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to come see Devin Haney. So we look at the WBA and the WBO. Hey, they're going to have to come see one of them. Because Gervonta Tank Davis is there for a reason. He's there for a freaking reason. Either Gervonta's going to face Lomachenko sooner, Devin Haney, Batista the winner of Richard Comey, Teofimo Lopez. Something's going to go down where they're going to try to get Tank Davis a freaking championship fight. I ain't talking about the WBA regular. I'm talking about one of the super titles. They're going to try to get Tank on the road, man. Put the tracks down and freaking dial in the crosshairs on that Tank and start steamrolling cats. And that's what we want to see in the 135-pound division. Very exciting, man. You got Tank, Devin Haney, and look, Shakur Stevenson. It's only a matter of time before Shakur Stevenson, who's a WBO champion, finally steps up to the 135-pound division. It's only a matter of time. Look, as boxing fans, we only hope that Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko, if he's still around, you know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez, he might be at 140 already. These group of guys are there at the 135 and they fight each other. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't take that long. Because, man, I'll be disappointed if Shakur Stevenson moves up and, he's talking about, I want all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Then Devin Haney's up there. I mean, it's a lot of quality, lightweight boxers with the potential to make some fireworks, man. I'm serious. Like, some really solid fights. 2020, 2021. It's some really solid fighters out there, man. That 135-pound division is going to be absolutely lit. Real talk, man. I don't know about the welterweight division. I can't call it. Well, when it comes down to it, lightweight division, welterweight division, and heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying? That's about the extent of it. Because we really hope that contractually, these fighters are able to link up with one another and make these fights so we can see it. You know what I'm saying? Tank is going to win that WBA title. I just want to see what's next. Who is Gervonta going to fight that's in the fray next? Will we see him and Devin Haney finally step to one another? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what's going to pop off? I would say Ruiz Lopez, man, absolutely be a good fight too. What is common between these fighters? They sparred. You know what I'm saying? They sparred. That's the even part of it. Like you heard Gervonta say, he went in there and they were supposed to spar like 6 to 8 rounds or something. And Gamboa stepped out in the 3rd round. He stepped out. He left the ring in the 3rd round. Now, of course, that doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying he stopped. Right? He stopped. He didn't complete the full sparring session. And at the face-off, if you watch the entire thing, Gamboa kept his eyes on Gervonta. He was looking at him, trying to get a reaction. He finally did. And, Gervonta kind of to his left and be like, hey, you'll get your turn. You'll get this. You'll get this work come December. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give it to you. But I like what Gamboa did to try to promote the fight. to try to get the people to tune in and talk about it. And that right there did it. Like, that was like the first press conference down here in the ATL. So for him, Gamboa, to come over here and keep his eyes on Gervonta and to just, mean mug him like that. I'm not saying it affected Gervonta, but for the media, for the viewing audience, it gave them something to latch on to and say, hey, this is going to be a damn good fight right here. Let's go see this fight in the A. Let's go see this fight. So, y'all look forward to it, man. Andrew Rodriguez, what's good, man? I see you got the pets going. You know what I'm saying? We about to call you Crocodile Rodriguez, man. For real. You got all the animals going over there. But yeah, that's about it, man. I just want to come in here and talk about the fight that's popping off this weekend. I just can't give the check mark to Anthony Joshua. I wouldn't be surprised if he lose again in the late rounds. You know what I'm saying? I just get that vibe that in Saudi Arabia, he might have that placement again like he did in the UK with the referees. Man, like, I'm getting that vibe that he may have that third man in the ring to prevent serious punishment. I'm just getting the vibe, that's all. I'm just getting that vibe that he may have that third man in the ring to his benefit, like he did with the Carlos Takam fight, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin. You know what I'm saying? I get that feeling with Anthony Joshua. So it's going to be up to Andy Ruiz to go in there and fight smart. Not go in there exactly the way he did the first time, because that would be too obvious. Anthony Joshua comes forward and releases his right hand. Don't be too quickly to return a 4 to 6 punch combination on Anthony Joshua, because this time I believe he may be a little bit more focused to shoot that right uppercut or to shoot that counter right. It just didn't happen for Anthony Joshua at all the first time around. So he may be a little bit focused this time, coming in wild like he was, and shoot that counter. He already dropped Andy Ruiz before. Don't say I didn't tell you. He already dropped him before. So it's not like he can't drop Andy Ruiz again. This time, Joshua goes about the remaining part of the fight plan, the fight strategy, how he makes the changes in there. If he has Andy Ruiz hurt, I'm going to tell you people. I'm going to tell you something that may disappoint some of you. Have we seen Anthony Joshua be as aggressive since the Klitschko fight? He's not confident in his gas tank to be aggressive the way he was and gas himself out against Vladimir Klitschko. Because an important factor is he had a referee in there to make sure he's able to get those breathers. That's the whole point. Anthony Joshua cardio sucks. Anthony Joshua cardio is subpar marginal. So when it comes down to him facing a guy like Andy Ruiz, who went 12 rounds with Joseph Parker, he has no problem with cardio. But Joshua does. And the only point I'm trying to make for Saudi Arabia, he's going to be there as the third man in the ring to benefit Joshua. Because it's a lot of money on the line. It's a lot of money on the line. It's a lot. You know what? It's not winner take all. I'm just saying it's a lot of money on the line. And I'm betting against Joshua. Because I truly don't think Joshua will want to face the unification ever. I think Joshua, when it comes down to it, he'll get a title or two to give somebody else the opportunity to go in there and face Deontay Wilder. Instead of Deontay Wilder having the access to grab all the titles at one time Anthony Joshua would get stripped of some mandatories and keep the one that, is comfortable to him, and allow Deontay Wilder to go out here and source other fights with those who are fighting for the vacant. It's not impossible, y'all. And trying to go in here and fight a unification bout with Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. I don't get that energy from him. He shouldn't really feel bad about being on Deontay's Wilder graveyard list. He shouldn't. He's been down on the canvas already. It's just the door wasn't closed. You know what I'm saying? He knows the way his chin is with wet confetti. When he finally get touched up by Deontay Wilder, the casket will close. That shit would be shipped off on a freaking 747 back over to the pond. And during that time, they would have hooked up the what is it called? The KG or K, hooked up the monitors to him, revived him, and he would have awakened over there in the UK to carry on like it never. Hey, do you remember what happened? Nah. Do you remember stepping in there with the bronze bomber? I stepped in there with the bronze bomber. Stop playing, Anthony. You know what I'm saying? So I know deep down inside he has that fear of stepping in there after what he's been seeing with Ruiz-Ortiz, Dominique Brazil, Romain Stavern. Oh, dog. Y'all be sure to turn in the World Combat Sports, man. Follow me on all social media, YouTube, Facebook. I need for y'all to follow me on IG, for real. I know 2020 is bumping up. It's about to open that door to a new year. But I need, more solid support. I ain't just talking. It's going to be changes, man. I go above and beyond for the fans. I go above and beyond for the supporters. You know what I'm saying? I need for you all to share the content and really get more exposure out there to my content. If I'm on deck, on site, I'm driving to these places. I'm coming out the pocket. I'm supporting boxing, MMA, grappling. I just ask y'all to support me. Salute.